Screen now?
Now, yes, now it's visible.
Okay, yes, so this is what I'm reading off of. So we heard from Honorable Dr. Pushpa Arkandel, Vice Chairman from the National Commission, that we hope that the KDKH will be a great example for transboundary collaboration. And he also mentioned that, NPC will be taking one of the leadership roles to kind of formalize the KDKH and really contribute on its way forward. From the Institute of Disaster Management and Reconstruction from Sichuan University, we heard Dr. Gretchen say that she would be more than happy to host and co-host some sessions in China. And this morning, we also heard her say that she would be happy to contribute to the knowledge management and communication group. So on the same day, in the opening on Tuesday, we heard that this hub can work as a mediation between all these countries. And when I say all these countries, not just government to government, but also people to people contact. And this statement was made by Sri Vyasji, Vice Chairperson from Bihar State Disaster Management Authority. Then we had a series of technical sessions on the different disasters, on glacial lake outburst floods. They had a session on Monday, Tuesday afternoon, where we heard statements made such as the three countries need to work together as there are many glacial lakes, potentially dangerous glacial lakes, and there's a need for standardized framework for assessing these hazards and risks. We also heard that glacier volume, the new technological advances in modeling, 3D modeling and visualization of glacier lake volume, and that there's also an increasing number of young researchers already taking GLOF research in the region, and such can be encouraged further by opportunities for joint transboundary collaborative research on this issue. On CBDRM group, there was a lot of great practices being shared, a lot of sharing by different partners that were coming together. Good practices such as citizen science to support local communities, citizen-based forecasting, flood information, indexed-based flood insurance, cross-border community-based flood early warning system, innovation in WASH, promoting nutritional gardens among small landholders. Session also discussed about the challenges and opportunities for community-driven DRR and in the management in the federal context of Nepal. And then one statement, I think one that stayed on, was that also like 1% increase in insurance penetration reduces the disaster recovery burden on developing countries by 22%. And this was based on one of the award-winning practices that was shared during the event. There were many statements also made by many of the practitioners, leaders in this sector, that there's an urgent need to enable elected representatives at various levels of governance for inclusive policy making and implementation. Going on, there was also a flood session on Wednesday morning that was attended by many partners. There's multi-actor partnerships needed for, among even private sector and civil society to advance the technical aspects. Cross-border collaboration is key to sustainable solutions to floods, and not just ICIMOD. It can tap into UN agencies and INGOs as well. And upstream, downstream networks can really interlink, and foster transboundary collaboration as well. These are very succinct messages coming out, but the summary presentations are available on OneDrive, and the link was shared previously, but I also request perhaps Subina to put the link for the OneDrive for the summary presentations as well. There was a wonderful session on landslides and sedimentation, a lot of interaction. So there's statements made such as we need to move towards multi-hazard risk assessment in the Koshi Basin to strengthen institutional collaboration. Young researchers still face the challenges in terms of data acquisition. I think this is a similar statement that was made in 2018, and we can see that there's not been much improvement, but it's certainly an area where we must work ahead. And interagency collaboration is necessary for technology and knowledge innovation. Statement made by Mr. Badriraj Dungana, Deputy Director General of Department of Forest and Soil Conservation in Nepal. At the same time, we also had external, global researchers such as Dr. Kristen Cook, who said any geomorphic processes make seismic signals, can be used to determine nature and location of different events. So there's a lot of global, research also coming into the picture. On the drought session, this was also a session that I was a part of, that we really need to look at how we can combine different remote sensing products and ground observations for better drought monitoring. There are different scattered efforts, but how do we make it meaningful for different stakeholders, particularly the ones that will use that drought predictions to make changes in their practices on the ground? And that such data needs to be made accessible for the research, for the farmers themselves. On session reporting and action plan, when we heard summary, we had a panel discussion on session 5 yesterday morning, where we heard, like, if we invest capacity building in the youth, then they make a proactive initiative to reach out to the larger population. We also heard from Samyarji from BSDMA that upstream and downstream linkages have to be established moving forward. It is also not only important to have women representatives, but also gender experts and gender champions who can identify the disproportionate impacts on different groups of people. And then we also had many participants, so this was just a few quotes, many participants like Dr. Wu Yanhong, director at one of the institutes at IMHE, that he volunteers to be the coordinator for different research groups to create more opportunities for young scientists to get involved in research projects. And then in the afternoon, we had a wonderful session where we had different media from Nepal, India, and China communicate about some of the stories that they were reporting about flood reports in China, can shed light to the general public and policymakers about impacts on livelihoods and affected people. And perspectives on upstream and downstream linkages in reporting is still missing. So this came very strongly when we were talking to the journalists, that they are also often limited in their research, that they often miss the upstream downstream opportunities. So that way, if they are able to report more on upstream and downstream issues, then it becomes more accessible to the general public as well. So the importance of media in creating these linkages were also discussed. Similarly, when you're reporting remotely, you're unable to get first-hand experience on flood impacts. Therefore, sufficient research and fact through experts and resource person is crucial. So we were also talking about how we can link media to the Knowledge Hub more strongly, so that they have very efficient access to the experts in the group. And this is what we discussed this morning, what the theory of change will look like. We talked about the goals, outcomes, change pathways, and the context, and also suggestions, sorry, there's a mix-up on the slide. Also suggestions on what the theory of change, where could it change? So we got very good inputs from there. And then on the structure of the KDKH, we also discussed, some of these comments on making the membership more accessible, on emphasizing the role of the country chapters, that the government should be heavily involved as well here for the uptake, and that members and stakeholders are ready to work together to strengthen the KDKH at the country level, and perhaps even forming an ad hoc committee going forward together. So apologies for a very rushed summary, but this is what we could put together in a very short time. But with this very, short summary, and we just heard also very interesting panels, and their statements still are very with us. So I don't think we need to repeat, but we heard representatives from all the three countries that there is a gap of, for collaboration and knowledge generation, and that we should be working together. And there are room and scope to make this KDKH more formalized, more institutionalized as well. And we got very good feedbacks from many of the panelists just now to improve the document as well. So with this, if there are any questions or comments, we can take a few. And if not, then we are really coming towards the close, and I know many of us are waiting quite a lot for this to close for the day. Arunji, do you want to add anything here, or shall we go ahead by inviting some of the closing remarks?
I think we should go ahead with the closing remarks. Just wanted to say I was really impressed how quickly you managed to pull together everything. Yeah, really impressive. Thank you, Sanjan.
Thank you, Arunji. There are rapporteurs that are working like magicians in the background, so they are pulling these quotes for us together. So it's really great to have them. Um, so going forward, we really want to end, with encouraging and remarks and recommendations from different partners that have been working with us for some time and really giving us their inputs. I would like to invite some of the speakers to come in and give their remarks. I heard Dr. Purnima Singh from Center for Geographical Studies. She has to leave early, so I would like to invite her first if she's still here with us. Dr. Purnima, are you here with us?
Yeah, thank you so much, Kanchan. First of all, I express my gratitude to KDKH for providing me such a wonderful platform. Since we are a newborn institution, CGS, this is an interface between the government and the community. It's a geographical research institute. And our subject actually, it has a very unique position in between the human and the physical aspect. And the core content is a space. So here we study the human as well as the physical factors in the spatial dimension. So when I got this opportunity, I was very happy because we have a very wide scope to create knowledge and information regarding the Koshi Basin. Koshi Basin.
Hello, जी.
Hello.
नमस्ते. के गर्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो? मिटिङमा हुनुहुन्थ्यो?
Koshi Basin actually.
तपाईले त्यो कामले अस्ति आउनुभन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ इन्फर्म त गर्नुभएको थियो.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Koshi Basin, we all know that it is very unpredictable, and time and often during the rainy season, it is flooded and it brings havoc for the people. So the Bihar government also wants that there should be some solution to this problem, and my research institute can, to a certain extent, contribute something to this KDKH, this knowledge hub. We can just put the thing. Since we do the spatial studies, so yeah. So this again move further. So we know that this the flood actually it doesn't affect people in a very ubiquitous manner. The different communities, the different social groups, the different economic and the cultural groups actually who are standing at different ladders, they are impacted in a very differential manner. So it needs a very detailed analysis that as to how the Koshi flood it impacts the different communities, the different social groups and the different cultural groups in the region. And here the small and the marginal farmers, the sharecroppers, probably they are the worst sufferers of this annual deluge. The landless people, actually what happens during the disaster period, during the flood period, they all from the disaster management, from the government side, the rescue operation goes on and they are given foods and shelter and all these things. So they are very happy to get all these things since they have hardly anything to lose, rather they have to gain. So now actually I just want to say here that my institution, since it is in a very nascent stage, so we have a planning to open a remote sensing and GIS institution, the center. So because, the data is the basic core of any geographical analysis. So this center is going to open this GIS and the remote sensing center, so which will collect the data at a very, very micro level on the spatial configuration, and this data can contribute to the knowledge and the information which is very much required for any research to take place. And since, as I said, that this is an interface, the institution is an interface between the people, the community, and the government. So this information, essential information, and the knowledge which will be generated, it will be of very, will be very important to include in the policy designs of the government. And this the micro, it can, we can use the micro level data to ascertain the different slopes and the gradients, since this is the floodplain area, the Gangetic plain. So here the relief is not very noticeable, but still the micro level relief, actually it guides the gradient of the channels. So that can be assessed, that can be mapped, and then it can further add to the knowledge of creating the diverting the channels, or creating artificial, you can say, the ponds where the excess water can be stored, and this excess water can be used for recharging the groundwater table during the lean period, or the monsoon in that season when the rainfall is deficient. Yes. So all these information, actually, yes, all these things are still on anvil. So all these things are our this area. And thank you so much, Kanchan, for providing this, because still we have to go miles. But I think my center will be of a great help in creating knowledge and contributing knowledge and information to this KDKH. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you, Purnimaji, for being associated at at a very early on stage, and I think sharing with us, because I am not sure like many partners know that Aryabhat Knowledge University in Patna exists and what your plans are. So thank you very much for sharing, and that's very nice as well. So moving on, I would like to invite Dr. Xiong Dong Hong, professor at the Institute of Mountain Hazard and Environment, and he's done a lot of research in the Koshi Basin as well, both in soil erosion, and now he's part of our drought group as well. So I would like to request a few remarks from him about how he felt the annual dialogue went, and if there are any final words and recommendations going forward. Dr. Xiong Dong Hong.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Firstly, I would like to express my thanks to all of the staff colleagues from ICIMOD. Thank you for your wonderful work during the conference period, and thanks also are giving to all of the participants for your spending time to attend it and to share your ideas. I think it is successful, fruitful meetings with so many participants, heated discussions, and very thought-provoking comments and suggestions. I learned a lot from the meetings, especially I deeply agree with the concept, which is about the science, policy, and practice. As for science, I personally hope KDKH can establish one set of data sharing mechanism for the transboundary area, which would be very beneficial for the research, for the integrative research of the linkage between upstream I also hope that more young scholars, even including some PhD students, should be encouraged to join KDKH and to attend the related activities, which will make KDKH the platform more diversity and also more sustainable. As for practice, I'm here calling for more attention on it. Maybe we could attract more technical experts on disaster mitigation, even on agriculture, or even animal husbandry to join us, such as the technology about the flood early warning systems, or about the water-saving irrigation technology. Maybe we can also do more on improving the livelihood to increase the community disaster resilience. We can also discuss the possibility to establish some technology demonstration parks in Nepal, which have been proved to be very successful in China. Currently, many national level projects in China are requested to complete some demonstration and technology demonstration and popularization area besides research and technology development. And to the end, I hope KDKH have a very bright, very brilliant future, and I would be very happy if I can contribute to its growth in the future. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for your encouraging remarks, Professor Xiong Dong Hong. I think your inputs are well heard, that we need to create a mechanism for data sharing, but also establish demonstration sites for co-learning, and also invite more experts from different sectors to be involved as well. Thank you for your remarks. Now, next, I invite Mr. Biju Shrestha, Joint Secretary at the National Planning Commission of Nepal. And he has also been listening to us from morning, and he was also part of some of the sessions during the Nepal country consultation back in September 2019. So we're very keen to hear what you have to tell us as way forward. Bijuji, please requesting your kind remarks.
Thank you, Kanchanji. Can you hear me, Kanchanji?
Yes, but your video is not on. I know
Okay.
If you would like to turn it on.
Sure, why not? Am I there?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Kanchanji. Distinguished panelists, participants, and dignitaries. Actually, I'm pleased to share my observations on Koshi Disaster Knowledge Hub organized by ICIMOD in collaboration with KDKH members. During this 4-day-long virtual discussion, we discussed about Koshi basin, rather I should say resilient Koshi basin, and transboundary and water-related disaster reduction issues. The deliberation identified gaps and some way forward for reducing disaster risks, having representations from all the concerned governments and the stakeholders from different backgrounds. Climate change is a serious global concern. Special attention has to be paid to the conservation of the Himalayas, which have been serving as a global heat sink. Climate change has adversely affected agriculture, food, water resources, forest biodiversity, human health, tourism, energy, irrigation, settlements, and infrastructure, and so on. The intensification of floods and landslides has caused huge loss of property and affected livelihoods, forcing people to relocate. Nepal is among the countries most at risk of various natural disasters due to its unstable geology and topography, seasonal weather variations, unmanaged infrastructure development, and risk-insensitive development activities. The backdrop of these issues and challenges, the demand and relevance of this type of knowledge hubs are getting increased with the growing awareness and importance of river basins and human-induced and natural disaster risk posed to these river basins. DRR and development process must go side by side in harmony to each other. As someone rightly says, that disaster has no boundary, and without DRR, there is no development. So DRR should be internalized in every stage of project cycle right from its inception. And I'm sure that participants of this knowledge hub benefited quite a lot, as this is the program built upon what we had acquired through earlier programs of country consultations in Nepal and India and a meeting in China last year. I think that this virtual discussion has opened up new avenues to our understanding of DRR in Koshi Basin in particular. Many of the comments indicated that coordination among people working in Koshi Basin has to be improved. And I'm sure that this virtual platform has been instrumental in increasing awareness and opportunities for transboundary collaboration for reducing water-related disaster risks. The need of the hour should not be limited to deliberation and interaction. Deliberation has its own importance. More important is the use of knowledge by policymakers and initiations of joint projects among KDKH members. And this knowledge hub can be an example for others how the collaboration can move forward and bring scientists, policymakers, practitioners together to develop plans and policies that reduce risks and improve livelihoods. In the course of this annual dialogue, I consider working on knowledge gaps as a very fruitful event, as we'll be initiating our efforts to form a set of networks which could be a platform for exchange of knowledge and information and moving ahead by strengthening the KDKH. We should give continuity to this effort by establishing the country chapter, and I'm glad to inform you that National Planning Commission is working on the formation of the Nepal country chapter. And thanks to ICIMOD, policymakers, practitioners, researchers, and some colleagues from media from basin countries and beyond have participated in this dialogue to discuss research findings and good practices that could inform policies and plans for reducing disaster risks at a transboundary scale. I'd like to urge all of us to make commitment to contribute to the resilient Koshi Basin through better understanding and evidence-based decision-making on transboundary water-related DRR. National Planning Commission, Government of Nepal would like to thank all the collaborators and sponsors for coming forward to support in this noble task. Thanks to all those who worked so hard day and night for the successful hosting of this annual dialogue. I'd like to express my sense of gratitude to all of you distinguished participants, panelists, for all your support during the program. And finally, my good wishes to all of you on the occasion of New Year 2021. Thank you. Thank you all. It's over to you, Kanchanji.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bijuji, for your comments, and very well thought out, and for encouraging that we go beyond this dialogue process, that there are actions on the ground, that there are joint projects. And I think your point that the NPC, National Planning Commission, will be taking the lead on forming the country chapters is quite encouraging for all of us. And I think that's why we're all waiting to hear, we're still here at 4:15 on a Friday to hear that from leading government agencies. So thank you, Biju sir, for your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving ahead, yes, thank you, sir. Moving ahead, I would just like to check if Ms. Aishani is online now. Are you here, Aishani?
Yes, I am.
Yes,
Hello.
Aishani. So good to see you. Ms. Aishani Leib is a resident representative of the United Nations Development Program, and she was also part of the consultation when it happened in September 2019, and she's been such a strong supporter of this effort. So we look forward to your recommendations to us and any feedback.
Thank you. Namaste and good afternoon to all the distinguished panelists, participants, and organizers who are here, and very big congratulations, Kanchana ji, that you I really feel inspired by you that bringing all these people, and I know Deepak and others are behind and side by side, but big congratulations, because it's not easy task you are doing, and also you know very much that particularly women involved in this kind of exercise are rare. So I really want to give a big thank you and congratulations to you. So and also we are very, very pleased and happy to be a bit part of the exercise since the beginning, I think. And why are we interested? I think it's important for us to remind ourselves, if you take it from Sendai and New York, Addis Ababa, Paris, all these international conferences that they spoke about disaster or sustainable development or financing or climate, there was something that came common, is that if we want to have successful results, we need global alliances, we need coalitions, and I think that is why it is important that the Knowledge Hub, bringing different chapters of the countries involved, the territories involved, would make much sense for us to take forward concretely whatever has been agreed in these large conferences. So it's the same thing has been again reminded to us by our Secretary General, the United Nations Secretary General, as COVID came in, asking all of us to have the shared solidarity if we want to get out of this, whatever the crisis, whatever the disaster that currently the globally people are facing. So I think it is important, and these solidarities, global solidarities, the regional solidarities and the national solidarities between provinces and communities to the municipality level, I think they are very important for us, for UNDP here I am speaking. And second, it's also important, I think, if we are to keep up with the ambitions that we took, particularly in terms of climate ambition, to remain within the 1.5 Celsius degree demarcation, I think it is important, and it has been said that we have to deploy 5 times more than what we are currently doing for climate. So this type of knowledge platform will definitely help to share knowledge, experience, policies, what works and what doesn't work, and that definitely evidence-based progress, to make evidence-based progress. This is where again why UNDP, an institution like UNDP, is interested to and to support your initiative. 3 is that we last 2 weeks we had been hearing how many countries in the world had been reaffirming their ambitions, for climate ambitions, including Nepal. And I think Nepal clearly mentioned that what it would do for to become carbon neutral by 2050, but also in the interim 2025, 2030, and 2050. So this matters, and this is because when you come with the ambition, you also have to be operational, and Koshi Basin and definitely offer space to do some concrete actions. And as you mentioned, it's not only about Nepal, it is about here, it's about 3 countries. And therefore, I think when ambitions come together, we are speaking about 35 million people here. So 35 million people. And therefore, whatever that we do in terms of adaptation or mitigation, I think will have direct impact. Now, I'm not going to repeat what you know about UNDP's work in the region, and it has been quite active since 2008, 2009, including early warning systems, and I think you know about it, Gluff and Imja Lake lowering. My colleague Deepak, I think, was very passionately, I am sure, gave a presentation in the early part of the conference, so I'm not going to repeat about it. But I would like you to know that currently we have some ongoing engagement related to the provincial disaster risk reduction strategy and some actions in 3 provinces. So these are all around the Sendai framework. And 2 weeks ago, I think, yeah, by now, 2 weeks ago, we just signed a project with the LGC fund, with JEF funding, which is watersheds around the Koshi Basin has just implemented. And we have a couple of other projects which are part of the dangerous glacial lake and watersheds in Koshi and other basins. So I think all these projects will generate knowledge and policy, definitely, which will be interested for all the countries involved and to take your agenda forward. I have 2 more quick points. I think maybe you heard yesterday, our latest human development report was about the planet and the people, which are two important elements and interacting and quite enmeshed. So it is extremely difficult to distinguish people from the planet and the planet from the people. So this is why our human development report was looking into what are the human development expansions possible and also easing the planetary pressures in the world right now. So as such, I think the report was advocating that we need to live and work and cooperate differently. And this is, again, an opportunity for us to cooperate differently and probably bring some different complementarities among the in multilateral cooperation, multilateral agencies like us to the work that you are doing. And I saw that in the governance strategy, there was a reference to the UN agencies. And if you take water-related work, there are some 20 plus 23 UN agencies working around water. So multilateral cooperation, multilateralism is extremely important when you want to build trust and to bring trust into the work that we do, which is important for countries to collaborate. So the last point that I would like to share with you is that in the strategy, when I went through quickly the strategy speaks about basically the enhancing resilience about natural systems and people. But when you go into it is in the vision, it is in the goal, but when we go into the outcomes and again, basically little bit onto the indicators, I feel that the emphasis on the people is a bit lost. So this is, I think, many of the panelists that I heard that this afternoon, I think they'd raised this point that, you know, it has to the emphasis that we put in people should not only be limited to the vision and the greater goal level, but it has to go to the action, should go to the ground level. And this is where I think Nepal offers the federal governance structure and the political changes that it happened over the last couple of years is giving us this opportunity to work particularly with the people. And this is where I think also the UN system can be very strong, because this is about action. So from research to the policy, we can also enhance those with very rich indigenous knowledge, very rich indigenous research that is perhaps not documented right now, but can definitely enrich the work that you are doing. But for that, you need to be close to the people, for the local communities at the provincial level, and for which that UNDP stand ready to support. So I think with that, I wish very best for the implementation, and also very big, again, congratulations for what has happened already, and going forward will be with you to support your endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aishani, for your wonderful, thoughtful remarks. And I won't try to capture everything you said, but I just want to acknowledge the points that you've made on the strategic document, that perhaps in the indicators that we need to bring in the people aspects, the human aspect a bit more. And we agree. And I think as we are forming this, it's a huge undertaking. And as we put this on paper, I think sometimes we're also thinking, how much will we be able to achieve? But as our partners come in together and tell us, like, this is what needs to be done, and this is possible. And I think that just grows and adds on to the potential of it. And I think that is just so wonderful that as you bring in these contexts, and in the morning also many of the participants were bringing these aspects in, like this needs to be there and that it can be done. So thank you again, Aishani, for bringing that up, and thank you for your support. Your team has been wonderful in the background, like supporting us throughout. So yeah, thanks again so much. Okay, thank you. Now we have two more remarks for this session. I would like to invite Mr. Janak Dahal, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, and he is with the Disaster and Conflict Management Division within the ministry. Mr. Dahal, this must be something a little bit new to you, because we've not been able to come and brief you about it as much, but I just wanted to give you a space a little bit later as well so that you can hear other panelists speak. But we are more than we would like to welcome your thoughts and recommendations as well as closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanchan. I'm glad to see all of you at this session. This dialogue provides a very prominent platform to clear all the activities relating to Koshi Disaster Knowledge Hub. This 4 days program covered all the activities that we have done and plan to do time to come. At this program, scholars, experts, and participants have expressed their ideas and shared best practices. The program was very interesting and meaningful to support our goals for reducing disaster risk management in the region. This session covered the topics like glacier lake outburst flood, community-based disaster risk management, landslide and sedimentation, sharing transboundary collaboration, media experience sharing, and so on. Likewise, there was a strategic discussion on future strategy and plans for strengthening KDKH. Designed in 8 sessions during the 4 days, the program modality was interactive and very interesting. And as you say, in fact, I assumed this office from November. I mean, I have been working in this section since 20 days. Anyway, I am working various districts being a CDO. So I have little bit knowledge regarding the disaster risk management. And I heard some scholars' ideas, views, experts' views. On that background, I suggest and I would like to extend my some points to mitigate the disaster effectively. First of all, we need to vision-based strategy, as you are doing in this platform, and strict and strong collaboration and local people initiatives. Priority to address the activities and need assessment and active participation for local agencies. In this way, in conclusion, the program was found a key platform for Koshi disaster risk reduction strategy and solidarity consensus. Our past experiences and common understanding is needed for making KDKH with safer place and disaster resilience region. Finally, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and appreciation for organizing this program and giving me this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dahal. Thank you so much for your remarks, and I'm sure we'll be coming back to you for more of your inputs as we go on to finalize the strategy and guideline. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, I would like to again invite Sri P.N. Rai, member of the Bihar State Disaster Management Authority in India, for his final concluding remarks. And thank you so much for staying with us from early on today. Thank you, sir. May I invite you for your closing remarks?
Thank you very much, Kanchanji. I'm very happy to be part of this conclave today. And congratulations to ICIMOD and especially to Kanchanji for bringing together several organizations on one platform to synergize their effort. I'm sure this must have been a stupendous task for Kanchanji, but it's surely laudable and also required for all of us. And the problems of and issues of member nations are interlinked. Working together, therefore, is purely mandatory and essential for us, all of us. Sharing of experience, knowledge, and good practice available with nations and organizations can go a long way in building safer communities. I witnessed 2017 floods in Bihar. It happened suddenly. Lot of water flowed from Nepal side. Lot of water happened in Bihar also, and both combined to create a flash flood that killed more than 524 people in Bihar. Many people died in Nepal also, I know of that. So if we can do something, like that hub you're creating, the KDKH, and a framework at country level, at the and transboundary level, these frameworks can surely help in sharing of experiences and knowledge and good practices. Because I've been finding all those years that there is a definite deficit of, shall I say, sharing of knowledge, sharing of information between various nations. I still remember the Koshi floods 2008, I'm saying. You see, that was misery all around. That time also, if many of you would know, the Koshi barrage was damaged and the Koshi flew along a new route, a totally new route. Devastated 5 districts in Bihar and some places in Nepal also. Many of you must have witnessed that and experienced that. As I mentioned in the morning also, I was then involved in immediate response and later on recovery also. And I can appreciate, and you can too also appreciate, the pain that people must have had with destruction of houses, of crops, and everything else. And therefore, I would believe that any effort made by us in the way of DRR is welcome. And therefore, the efforts of the ICIMOD to create a platform where we can share knowledge, we can share experiences is surely welcome. So, in addition to the flood that we are talking of, the climate change is also doing a lot of damage to all of us. We can understand that. The climate change has been doing huge problems. And Bihar, because its borders Nepal, is being affected by countries like China and Nepal because of the downstream. Therefore, coming together is absolutely essential for us. The mechanism suggested by the conclave of country chapters, country working groups, or transboundary working groups looks very sound and encouraging, and hopefully will build an effective environment for working together and creating more resilient communities in each member nations. We can give any name to the framework, but I would believe that such frameworks are required. ICIMOD and Bihar has a very continuing relationship quite some time now. In 2016, we had a good workshop in Bihar where CM, Chief Minister of Bihar, was the chief guest. This could also be indicative of the political support that such programs can have. Even last year, we had discussions with the ICIMOD. Kanchanji was here. And I'm happy to know that the progress is being done through this platform now. We have a good educational institution here, the DMI. The government of Bihar is establishing a center of excellence in disaster management. They have funded that institution called the Development Management Institute. I would suggest that the ICIMOD should think of bringing in DMI also, because in research work. And finally, I would like to mention that as Bihar is one of the most ravaged states because of the Koshi basin, in the basin, we stand to benefit from any such effort being taken up by the ICIMOD. And therefore, we would be really welcoming all kinds of efforts that can help Bihar mitigate the problems of the people here. BSDMA is willing to be a facilitator to take the dialogue forward. It can provide the platform, bringing all the actors, the departments concerned. We can help the ICIMOD and the platform created by the ICIMOD to bring the departments of disaster management, Department of Water Resources, Department of Home if required, and all others non-government actors on one platform, so that the dialogue can be taken forward. And I'm happy to note that the NDMA member, Mr. Vatsa, has expressed his consent to support the NDMA. This is what is required also, because all the efforts will have to go through Government of India only, and likewise all of the state government, all the other nations will have to go through central governments. So I'm sure that we are able to come to solutions to responders, because you see what I mentioned in the earlier program was that if we can come up with solutions, the solutions like the early warning system in Sitamarhi and other places, Supol, then the responder, the government departments will have a sure kind of support for you and for us. And therefore, we at the Knowledge Hub can create success stories, can demonstrate success stories and show it to the governments. And the governments and departments will pick them up, and I'm sure we'll go forward. Yes, as I said, we do need some institutional framework, which we have already planned for. This is also required. And finally, and lastly, I wish success for the effort, and I hope that we are successful in mitigating suffering of the people of both the countries, Nepal and India. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you very much, PN Rai sir. I think that was very encouraging, and that you mentioned already that both NDMA and BSDMA coming to the one platform and encouraging the development of such framework as it institutionalizes further is very encouraging for us. And thank you being an advocate for us and this effort. I think everybody, all of us are very much encouraged by it. Thank you, sir, for your kind closing remarks. Thank you very much. Now we're almost very close to the end of the program, and we will hear some concluding remarks by Dr. Arun Bhaktashrestha, Regional Program Manager for River Basins and Cryosphere at ICIMOD. Arunji, you have a very difficult task of concluding this session. So not this session, but the entire annual dialogue. So Arunji, may I invite you for your concluding remarks?
Well, I would say not so difficult task, Kanchan, because earlier on you have already summarized, and we have heard from eminent panelists in this closing session. So I think my task is not that heavy, but nevertheless, as we are coming to an end of this very interesting 4 days, I do wish to say a few words. Now, just let me. Yeah. Now, having attached to a shared, space like Koshi Basin, I think all the opportunities and challenges are also shared. So to work in this kind of space, regional cooperation is something which we cannot avoid. So if we start working on this, regional cooperation early, that probably warrants, better outputs for what we are trying to do. Now, let me give a little bit of background in terms of, where we are at in terms of regional cooperation. ICIMOD as a regional intergovernmental organization, of course, puts regional cooperation as a very important aspect of its operation. And in the new strategic framework, regional cooperation is one of the main strategic results. And then, the strategic result, regional cooperation at institutional level is, of course, contributed by different programs, including our program, my own program, River Basins and Cryosphere. So over last several years, we have been working on it, and we do have some level of success in this regard. Just wanted to go through some of the examples we have. For example, the Hindu Kush Himalayan Hydrological Cycle Observation System. This is a system which strengthens the hydrometeorological monitoring capacity and establishment of regional flood information system based on state-of-art communication and information dissemination technology. Over the years, this hydrological observation system have been able to bring together Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and Pakistan. And sharing of information, hydrometeorological information is happening in a real-time basis. Definitely, it's just a start, but it also gives evidence that working together can happen and has opportunities to expand further. Of course, the Koshi Basin Initiative of ICIMOD, which is actually hosting this KDKH annual dialogue, is another example which promotes regional cooperation among the neighboring countries, China, India, and Nepal, for sustainable use of transboundary water resources and to develop win-win solutions. It aims to maximize benefits such as irrigation and hydropower while reducing water-related hazards such as floods, landslides, and many other things. And the focus is always, integrating scientific, economic, social, and ecological knowledge to support policy and decision-making process. And within that initiative, Koshi Basin Initiative, Koshi DRR Knowledge Hub is being, promoted, which is a platform led and driven by its member to foster transboundary collaboration on disaster risk reduction and explore interlinkage between science, policy, and practice. Another example probably would be, we had talked about it earlier when we talked about the theory of change and governance of KDKH, the Upper Indus Basin Network. Again, a knowledge and research network comprising of national and international researchers. The work focuses on impact of climate change and associated changes in cryosphere, cryohydrological regime, and supports in developing strategies for adaptation and resilience through various research institutions, government entities, and civil society organizations. We are also, hosting several thematic knowledge platform. For example, the Regional Cryosphere Knowledge Hub is a collaborative effort that shares and disseminates data and information related to cryosphere, which is glacier, snow cover, permafrost, through a network in and beyond the region. The Knowledge Hub makes use of geospatial data to support knowledge development and decision making. And of course, the HKH assessment and call to action process, which culminated with the ministerial meeting in October and signed the declaration on call to action, is another huge achievement and an example of great, regional cooperation that shows things are possible. And in the future, we are planning to do similar work, on regional cooperation in Brahmaputra River Basin. Now, coming back to Koshi DRR Knowledge Hub, I think, and looking back, the 4 days of deliberations, if you agree, I can say that this has been a landmark event and has been reasonably successful to achieve its objectives. There were thematic discussions, very rich discussions related to various hazards and methodologies to study them and ways to manage them. We had discussions on possibilities, opportunities in transboundary cooperation and how this can be enhanced to collective efforts. We also managed to discuss, role of media in DRR. And this very morning, we had a very good discussion on the operational aspect of KDKH. We talked about theory of change and governance mechanism. And of course, this was further enriched by a panel discussion on this very subject. So having said that, I think, and looking at how it has gone past couple of years and those 4 days of the dialogue, I can say that we have reached some way, but of course there is a long way to go. So perhaps the first thing to come is to come to some level of consensus on the governance mechanism. And next probably is to form the country chapters. I think these are the priority actions. Of course, the technical working groups are already progressing very well. I think we can consolidate them and further the scientific collaboration already happening. We know that the 3 countries involved have different processes related to such initiative, formalization of the country chapter, etc., and also different priorities. So how to make it conducive and beneficial to all, I think that's something we need to work on further. Of course, reflecting on some of the discussion, particularly on the operational aspect, I think we also heard slightly divergent, ideas in terms of how fixed it should be or how flexible it should be. Also in terms of the level of hierarchy, and also in terms of role of government. I think these are, of course, very interesting, very fruitful discussion. And in coming days, we have to make it, so that it is, conducive and beneficial for all parties. So this means we have to, we have come to the close of this annual dialogue, but maybe this is just a starting process. There will be more follow-ups on this to many of you, if not all of you, from the Secretariat. So please expect, a lot of communications from us in the near future. And I'm really hopeful that and believe that we'll get, good response from you. And that would be my request also. But of course, lastly, I would need to thank all of you. Of course, after that, Concern will be giving vote of thanks. But before that, I personally would also like to thank all of you on behalf of ICIMOD for being part of this annual dialogue and your commitment to be part of the Koshi Disaster Knowledge Hub in coming days. Of course, special thanks to all the co-organizers and supporting organizations and panelists, including those who spoke in this closing session. Thanks to all of you. A lot of ICIMOD colleagues contributed in planning this dialogue and, of course, moderating, rapporteuring, supporting in operational aspect of the dialogue. So a big thanks to all of them. And special thanks to Koshi team, which is led by Kanchan, Nishikant, Govinda, and many other people who are there. It would not be possible for me to pronounce the names, so would like to thank them all. I think they have been working relentlessly for months in preparation for this dialogue. As a result, we have a very good, sessions and very successful 4 days. So thanks to that team also. Thanks to all of you once again. Thank you. And of course, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Arunji, and thank you for talking about the way forward as we go on and what to expect. Probably we'll be asking for more inputs, more suggestions, and more help from the partners going forward. So please do expect, as we put together the reporting notes from this annual dialogue, but also some of the things that we will be focusing on going forward. So perhaps one important task for the Secretariat moving forward is, sharing the plan of action for the Secretariat next year, and also some of the, suggestions for the partners, the key areas where they can be involved. So do give us a few weeks to regroup after this and really incorporate some of the very critical comments that we've been receiving to make the strategy and guideline better, but also moving forward in terms of action points that we've received so far. So we are right on time, so I have 5 minutes for vote of thanks, and I will have a very interesting PowerPoint for vote of thanks. And when I asked for help for this PowerPoint to be put together, I did not know what I was exactly asking for. So let me just put it up. Yes, so what I asked for was that can we put together all the people that were involved in the KDKH annual dialogue, in all the contributions, can we put all the pictures together of all the people? So I'm surprised that they're like over, let's see, over close to 100 people that have come together in different roles to put this annual dialogue together. So this was a very interesting experience, at the same time humbled by the amount of effort and contributions that we were able to pull together. And this just indicates what is possible for us to do, for all of us to do, because it was not just ICIMOD asking our partners, it was ICIMOD asking our partners to ask their partners and their partners and their networks. So when KDKH was first formed, we really thought of it. When I would try to explain these ideas to others, I would say it's a friends and families network that stays together no matter major changes happening, that really stays together and counts on that collaboration to make something successful. So it has really come together like this. I would really like to thank our donors, Australian Aid and Swiss Development Cooperation at this point, and also the co-organizers of this event, our partners on board, Caritas India, CN TPNet, IDMR, Sichuan University, IIT Kanpur, IMHE, IMI, Lutheran World Relief, Patna University, UNICEF, UNDP, and Uganda. Their contributions have been visible and invisible at the same time. They've been at the background, making sure that the presenters are there, presenters are briefed, the rapporteurs are there, talking, all the session design are in place. It's inclusive as much as possible. So I really want to thank them. And also, beyond just the partners whose logos are here, there are many other organizations that have, just freely contributed so much of their time and effort into this. I really want to recognize them. I'm just going to go through the slides, but I will be just talking about the people that are in the background. So these are all the speakers and presenters and panelists, session hosts, moderators, leading researchers, session hosts, and incredible rapporteurs, media, journalists, and as well as government representatives who are really taking out their time and effort to contribute to this annual dialogue. And I'm sorry, some of the photos are not the best, but we thought this would be an interesting exercise, as we were not able to thank you in person. But it's really nice to see you all here together for this annual dialogue. So as we move on, you can just see the breadth of people that have contributed in this, and we are really thankful for their support. Okay, so that's the last slide. But I would like to contribute. I would just like to name a few people that are working behind the scenes. Particularly the rapporteurs that are working continuously in the background. Malin Al-Pak from UNICEF and Sneha Varma from UNICEF. They've both been rapporteuring most of the sessions. Subina, who has been incredible, Nirmal and Riju, and Yathartha and Nishikant, they've all been rapporteuring various sessions, taking turns and working late into the night to make sure the reports are fresh. Govindaji and Nishikant from the Koshi Basin Initiative team, they've been working for months, like Oranji said, and also working throughout the background, making sure the sessions are recorded, making sure everything is online and ready to go, pitching in to moderate some sessions as needed. And thanks so much. Thank you very much for your support. I'd also like to thank Debrat Shukla, who is the KMC focal point, knowledge management and communication focal point here at ICIMOD, for really putting all his effort to make sure all our knowledge management products are ready to go, for drafting the press release, which is still in preparation at the moment, but pulling all the KMC resources here at ICIMOD to make sure that this event goes smoothly. I'd also like to thank Ray's Raj Bhandari and IT team at ICIMOD to make it possible for us to host such a big event online with people joining in from all over the world. I'd like to especially thank for their continuous guidance and support. I don't know how many hours I've taken from them to talk about this and brainstorm and soundboard ideas, guidance and support from Oranji, from Farid, from Santosh Pathak, from our previous DDG, and our country focal points, Bridge Rathor, Ishaoling, and Basantaji. We've really used a lot of your help in pulling this together. Our transboundary working group anchors, Pinu Sreshta, Dr. Neera Sreshta Pradhan, Dr. Nishikant Gupta, were anchoring the CBDRM group, Dr. Mandira Sreshta, and also Nishikant in the flood group, Dr. Santosh Nepal, Dr. Kabir, Kripa, Subina for the landslides and sedimentation group, and Dave and Bikram for KMC for really hosting these sessions and making it possible to have 10 sessions within 4 days. And I would also like to thank Preena and others who have joined in from UNICEF for knowledge management purposes. And just incredibly, once again, just want to thank everybody. I'm not able to take names for everybody, but the amount of support and guidance and encouragement we've received throughout this time has been immense. And I think just the right amount of energy that we need as we go through this very difficult year with the COVID pandemic and as we chart out a path for the 2021. So thank you again. If we can all just open our videos again and give each other the thanks and support and just a big round of applause, then we can all conclude from this meeting. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. I would like to again say that we will be taking notes from all the comments and putting it together and getting back to you very soon. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.